Most unlikely of villains, just moves of brain and four paws. Does it talk? Does it know how? Does it boggle? Does it meow? In the lair of the cerebral, and I'll show him so much more. We'll leave your brains at the
Welcome back to Cerebrivore. I'm your host, Jason, from Nerds RPG Variety Cast. Today, we're on another bonus episode, which means we're going to continue the adventures of Conan the Undaunted. But first, I have a voicemail about our James Bond 007 role-playing game episode, where Daniel Norton and Carl Rodriguez joined me to discuss that game from the 80s.
Right, Jason, partway through listening to your conversation with Daniel and Carl, talking about 007, the RPG, and I'm going through some older books myself, and I thought I'd call in. I know it's been talked about before, but with James Bond only having that 4-year run, it does occur to me that it makes a nice sort of subject for a bit of study, because you can quite easily, I suppose, especially with the the competitive pricing, as you mentioned. You've got this nice little self-contained span of time with a game. Pick up all the bits you're interested in, and you can really delve into it. And I wonder, is that perhaps kind of some of the appeal for people collecting these older games? I mean, you've collected quite a bit of this stuff yourself, and I think Ray Otis has mentioned before that that's something that he kind of quite likes, but it don't get talked about too much, and I wondered if that's something you might want to reflect on or comment upon. Anyway, enjoying the episode. Great hearing you guys talk about this one. And it does seem, well, there are these games that pop up that are a little bit ahead of their time, and I'm enjoying hearing some of the mechanisms that perhaps predate things that we appropriate to later systems more. In particular, you mentioned those bennies from Savage World and the hero points in 007. So interesting stuff. Keep up the good work, and I'll catch you later, mate.
Hey, Colin, thank you so much for that call. Really appreciate it. Colin, of course, does the Spike Pit podcast. Go check that out. So, James Bond is an interesting case. It was only made for a short period of time, but there was quite a bit of material made for it. You had the box set, and then we just had the game book rules only. For adventures, many of which actually came out, I believe some of these were some, if not all, these were box sets as well. We have Goldfinger, Octopussy, Dr. No, You Only Live Twice, Live and Let Die, Goldfinger 2, The Man with the Midas Touch, The Man with the Golden Gun, A View to a Kill, You Only Live Twice 2, Back of Beyond, For Your Eyes Only, and On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is actually 4 Link's solitary adventures. And then we have a number of supplements, the Q Manual, the Game Master Pack, For Your Information Only, which are some additional rules and informational characters, equipment not included in the original rulebook or the Q Manual, Thrilling Locations, and Villains. In addition, for the pure collector, this was not only done in English, there was also French, Japanese, and Spanish editions of the game. So there's quite a bit here to collect, and the adventures especially are rather pricey. You can get the base rules for fairly inexpensive, but the actual adventures, some of them are quite pricey. So, but to answer the question, not about this specific game, but that is, for me, a reason to collect. Some of the things I've collected over the years are because they're smaller. The complete collection is only a handful of books or a dozen books, and it's much easier to get that complete collection. And I've done that with quite a few titles over the years. So, yeah, I definitely fall in that category. Now, where the rubber hits the road is, are you collecting them just to collect them, or are you actually reading them and enjoying them that way, which is totally valid, or are you actually getting them to the table? And a lot of things I've collected, in the past couple of years have been collected, but I haven't even got around to reading them yet. So they're definitely in that pile of, well, I should probably sell this to somebody else who actually appreciate it, read it, and or play it. So I hope that answers the question, and hopefully we'll talk about other games in the future with interesting mechanics of years gone by. But now we're going to go to the votes for Conan. So as everybody knows, we're doing Conan the Undaunted, Endless Quest book number 19 by James Ward. And we're reading through the story and we hit decision points. I let you, the listeners, vote on what course Conan should take. You can vote. This is also put up as a YouTube video, so you can vote in the YouTube comments, or you can use the Spotify for Podcasters webpage for this show and leave a vote that way. You can call in. There's a speak pipe for this show you can call into, or you can send an email to cerebrivore@gmail.com. There are a number of ways to vote. If you think of a different way to vote that'll get to us in time, then that is valid as well. Now, this show is up on the 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo, and the next iteration, or the next installment, I should say, will come out on the 19th of May. So you have to get your votes in for the next decision by the 17th of May. So get those votes in after you listen to this show. Now, let's see what the voters have voted for Conan to do. We're on a quest. We're trying to make time, and Conan has to decide if he's going to go. He's there in the city of the wizards, and he has to kind of decide, is he going to try to sneak past these wizards during the daytime, or is he going to wait until night to sneak by? Go through the ruins during the daylight, or go through the ruins during the moonlight. So let's see what our listeners have voted for Conan to do.
Okay, our first YouTube comment is from Joe Richter of Hindsightless. Conan can't see in the dark better than any other human person, and probably worse than most monsters we may run into down in the Black City. So sneaking in at night might not be that much of an advantage. Also, while Conan is wise, he's also superstitious, so he may think that the night is ripe for evil. I say time is still of the essence, so we should continue down to the city now and not wait hours until nightfall. Joe, I really appreciate that input. Let's see what other people say.
The first voice vote we're going to hear is Joe Salvador of Raven God Games.
Hey, Jace, it's Joe. Calling in for the next installment of Conan the Undaunted. So it looks like we're going through the city, foolish though it may be. I would say, well, I mean, clearly all these wizards are dead, right? They have no minions or anything, so Conan's going to stick with to his plan, and wait for midnight, and go through the city under the cover of darkness. I mean, really though, we should never trust Crom for luck, right?
Was that a mic drop, or did Joe just hang his phone up forcefully? I don't know, but I agree. We have to rely on our own resources and not on the gods.
Another YouTube comment, this time from Barry, GM Shadow, the Shadow the GM podcast. As a gaming friend of mine used to say, certain death or uncertain death. As we know, there's a camp down there, but we don't know for sure what evil roams by night. I vote for sneaking around at nighttime. Crom! Thank you, Barry. I appreciate that. Now back to a voice call.
This time by Daniel Norton of the Bandits Keep Media Empire.
All right, Cerebrivore. Let's see. Well, typically I would try to sneak past the guards at night, right? It seems a little easier to do. But the whole reason for going this way was because we were pressed for time. So I'm going to say move forward during the day and let's see if we can get past them. Perhaps they'll have less guards up and they'll be less weary during the day because they don't think anybody would dare sneak past. So I say Conan says, let's go now.
And finally, the last vote I've received is from Safer of Safer Fantasy Crafting. someone we hear far too little of these days.
My lord Conan would not wait. Time is of the essence. He would not wait for fate to come to him. He would go to fate and slit fate's throat before fate knew he was even there. Riders and wolves hold no fear for my lord, but Conan knows not to anger demons and wizards. Onward, onward, while the light remains.
Now, those are all the votes, but Joe Richter did have another comment. He asked on the YouTube channel in the comments, on a separate note though, do you think Bone Hill was an intentional D&D reference, like to the module the same name? Or was Bone Hill just a rad name? And I think that's a good question. I do not know. With a little bit of searching I did, I could not find an answer to that question. But if anybody knows if this is a direct allusion to the Bone Hill in D&D world, let me know. Call in or comment to the podcast. Now, this book, I have not read this Endless Quest book myself. This is my first time going through it as well. So we might get an answer in the book, but I kind of doubt it. Anyhow, if you know the answer, let me know. Okay, opening up the book, we've decided to go through during the day. If we hurry, Keelta remarks as he takes the lead, we can get through this valley while it's still daylight. Somehow you don't think it's going to be that easy. Walking among the great scattered blocks in the wizard city, you sense the evil has not left this cursed valley, and that doesn't even count the March Riders. You travel for several hours through the deserted ruins. The valley is as lifeless as it looks. Not even the smallest plants grow among the rocks and blackened dust. Though the sun is still out, there are no clouds, and you feel chilled. The landscape is too alien for your tastes, and too barren. You've walked about halfway through the ruins when a scream breaks the silence over the valley. It's a girl, you say, looking around. You move up and look around a stone block, directly into a camp of March Riders. 2 tents stand in the center of a clearing, one on each side of a small cooking fire. You can see horses grazing on the far side of the camp. You quickly discover the source of the cries. A young girl, about as old as you are, is backed against a great stone block. The point of a curved sword is poised at her throat. The sword is held by one of 2 March Riders, who are laughing at the girl's fearful screams and deciding what to do with her. You've seen enough. Coldly and silently, you and Keelta creep into the camp behind the riders. No one harms a girl in your presence if you can help it. The girl sees you and screams again. The 2 men turn, but not fast enough to avoid your spears, backed by all your muscle. The girl sinks to the ground, weak with relief. "Blessed are you," she cries breathlessly. Her thick dark hair tumbles over her face and shoulders. You pull her gently to her feet. "You're safe with us. But who are you, and how did you get here?" "My name is Shalandar, and I was kidnapped." A look of panic crosses her beautiful features. 5 other fighters have gone to get water for the camp. They could be back at any moment. "Then we'll head south for the pass." "No, we can't go that way," she says in alarm. "More guards are stationed in that direction. We must head north towards Bone Hill and flee that way." "But that's where we came from," Keelta objects. "We'll head for the pass, girl," you say firmly, wanting an end to the matter. The girl's fear vanishes. "Do that," she snaps, stamping her foot in sudden anger. "I'll go north and at least get out of this horrible place alive." Shalandar sees your uncertainty and adds in a more reasonable tone, "I am the handmaiden of the princes of Galparan. 4 days ago I was kidnapped from the palace by men who thought I was the princess. Today the March Riders discovered their mistake." A look of desperation crosses her face. "Now they're going to try again to get the princess. I must get back to Galparan and warn her. Please go my way. I know I'm right. You consider the possibilities. The girl is young, and you don't know if she knows what she's talking about. She does seem sure of herself, however. The only thing you're sure of is that you can't leave her in the ruins alone with the March Riders. Okay, decision time, listeners. If you want to head for the South Pass, turn to page 107, meaning if you want to keep going with your original plan. If you think you should follow the girl, turn to page 88. I look forward to your votes. Remember, all your votes have to be in by May 17th. Until then, be excellent to each other.
Broadcast, Cerebral podcast. Let's savor all the flavors from the spinal tap straw. All stars and pods past, Cerebral podcast. You're counting down your last as you admire them all. Something's blowing teeth, oh, seriously in your brain. Baby, what I mean is this is shades of freak. From what I understand, don't look now, the Cerebral is coming, and all that's left is the crying and the running. You can bring it, you can hide, you can above in any order. Just another brain or real toss running for the point. Just a snap like a one. Can I stutter? Here and here. It's bread butter. You can eat on a bacon, and his dust is never fading. It's savory, the flavor of the memories it created.